Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. We are on a more suburban part of the Ice Age Trail. Very, very lovely trail. This part's actually paved so you can ride your bike, but I'm just like hiking along right now. We're going to talk about several coins, smaller coins, outside the top 50, below 100 million in market cap, that actually could be worth looking into and putting a little bit of money into right now. Not a lot, because these are very, very risky and you don't want to bet the farm on them, but they could actually go up in an insanely high multiplier in a bull run if people see they actually have potential. So let's go down the list. The first one is Kin. Kin is very risky because they're in a battle with the SEC right now, and I have to warn all of you that companies generally do not win against the SEC. The SEC wins something like 90% of these cases. However, the judge in this case seems to be a lot more friendly towards Kin than the judge in other cases, because the judge actually allowed Kin to actually file several briefs or Kin and the association to file several briefs that the SEC did not want them to file. But it is still a toss-up in the air. It's at best a coin flip to see which way it goes. This thing, the judgment will probably be rendered within the next 2 months. The judge honestly can take as long as she wants, but the way it's looking, I do think the judgment will actually be rendered in the next 2 months or so. And so you don't have long to wait. So this could either be a hero or a zero very, very quickly. So maybe this is something I've put like 130 bucks into. I'm not really willing to lose any more than that because I know it can go either way. So definitely not something I would drop like 10 grand on to hope to make $1 million. This is something I drop like $100 into to hope to make $10,000, and because that's all I'm willing to lose. It is very, very risky. It is a coin flip, and definitely wouldn't say like bet the farm on this, because that is just way too risky to be a good gamble. So Kin coin, possibly really good returns, something I bought into myself, but realistically extremely, extremely risky right now. The second one is CSC, which is Casino Coin. I haven't talked about this for a while. They have that partnership with the biggest roulette maker in the world called KMEG. They are writing data to it. It is well, it's not really XRP Ledger based. They basically copied XRP Ledger, so it's not actually on the XRP Ledger, but it's basically built off of the same technology. So the technology's there. They've been working on it for a few years. They also have partnerships with a couple of like smaller online casinos. They're obviously working towards more partnerships, so they actually might have something going in a while. So check out CSC. The next one is kind of like it. It's Funfair. I think they're also working on the online gaming, maybe / gambling aspect of it. They also have some interesting partnerships, and they've also got some very interesting developments. I do think blockchain is going to be big in gaming and entertainment. So, I think this is definitely something that is worth looking at. Funfair. After that, we have Chillaz. Now, Chillaz or Socios, they're actually tokenizing like assets for sports teams, like jerseys, cards, stuff like that. Authenticity, also like collectibles. I think that market's going to be pretty big. I think a lot of teams are going to be interested in doing this with their merchandise, because that opens up new markets for them, and that would actually cut out the counterfeiters. So like partnering with individual teams, leagues, that could be really big. Chillaz is just gotten to the top 100. I think it's a pretty good project, and I think it's worth paying attention to because they've gotten some interesting partnerships with like some soccer clubs and stuff. And they're not, and they also like do like exclusive content, I guess, like streaming wise, but I think their main thing is actually tokenizing assets for sports teams, which I believe can actually be really big. The next one I want to talk about is actually Nexo. Nexo is one of the earlier DeFi loaning things, I believe, and I'm actually still okay with DeFi. I think they've had a few problems, but DeFi I think is still really popular. They are trying to regulate DeFi, but I don't really think this will hurt Nexo. I think crypto loaning platforms will be pretty big in the future. People are always looking for new ways to finance stuff. So Nexo, yeah, I think that's something you should look at, like Nexo along with Celsius and some of the others. But Nexo I think is a little bit more well known because they actually sprung up a little bit earlier. So Nexo is definitely one you want to look at. The next one is you got to throw an exchange coin in there. And I know like Huobi and Binance are a little bit too big for me to talk about in this segment, so we're going to go back to Buybox. Buybox is working with European regulators. I don't think they're going to be available in the United States, so that is a detriment because that's like 40% of the market gone right there. But Buybox, they are working with Europe, and for the size they are right now, the coin could actually be worth a lot more. I think the exchange can still do pretty well. It is a risk. I haven't really heard too much from them, but BIX could be very volatile, and you could make some money either swing trading it or just holding on to it long term. I think, you know, in your portfolio, you should hold at least like one exchange coin. You could hold one of the bigger ones like Binance and Huobi to be safe, but I think like BIX is worth actually holding at. So BuyBox is another one. Mana, I think, is worth looking at. Now, personally, I think the graphics for the game suck, but they can honestly always improve that. And the thing is, like, even though it may not be the best game, they have the money aspect of the economy into it, and that'll attract a lot of people. And let's not forget, they're the first one to market. A lot of the other games are like, oh, we'll get to it sometime. And we know like how powerful the primacy effect is. Like, being the first one to market means actually a whole lot in this. Being the first one to market actually means quite a lot, because now that means you get your customers first. Once you have a base, it's actually quite hard to take it from you, honestly. So check out Mana, because like the properties in that game are getting ridiculously expensive, and I do think that coin can actually be worth quite a bit more if the game definitely explodes, and I think it will gain popularity. And the reason I think it would gain popularity is because people are very attracted to the economic part of the game. The next one is LBRY, and this is a social platform. This is one I hope succeeds because I want something to actually compete with YouTube. And this looks like the biggest one. I mean, outside of DLive and obviously Twitch, but those are not really blockchain based. Well, DLive is, but Lino and Lemons aren't worth buying because they're basically being taken over by Tron at this point. But LBRY, definitely something to look at. They are growing. They do have some users on there, obviously not nearly as many as YouTube. I wish this company would actually pay me in USD so I can get more into it. But LBRY is one to look at because it is growing, and if it does grow a lot, this coin can actually be worth a lot of money. So LBRY, this is like something I could actually get behind and something I could actually root for. But out of all the social video sharing platforms, I think this is probably the one that's furthest along right now, LBRY, along with like Contentos and BeatsCoin and all that other stuff. So check them out. They're, like I said, they're further along than some of the other content platforms, and they seem to have a pretty good platform. They're looking to get like paid content in, so maybe like they'll contact you if you're a big creator. So LBRY. The last one I want to mention is Kava. I've been in contact with one of the employees from Kava. I am not an affiliate of Kava, nor am I selling anything from them, but they actually do like asset-backed stablecoins and other stuff like that. And they actually had something with Binance and collateral and a high interest staking thing. Those things are extremely hot and popular right now, especially with zero interest rates. So they're providing like a product or a service that a lot of people actually want. So, you know, they're going to be the final one I talk about in this segment. I do think they have a lot of potential. Their own coin can actually be worth quite a lot if their products actually soar. And there's a good chance that people really like their products, and their products will actually grab a decent share of that market. I think they're pretty active in the DeFi field, and with the stablecoin demand always rising, I do think that they have a pretty good potential for the future. So those are the coins that I'm going to talk about. Once again, they're Kin, CSC, Funfair, Chillaz, Nexo, BuyBox, Mana, LBRY, and Kava. So that's it for today. I know the scenery isn't quite as good because it's cloudy today, but hopefully you enjoyed this little walk, and I'll see you next time.